Sweeping reforms in Turkey. The Prime Minister announces a new political package. It includes lifting the ban on the headscarf and some rights for Turkey's Kurdish minority. But will it satisfy the Kurds? And could it usher in an era where they are fully included in Turkey's political scene? This is Inside Story. Hello, welcome to the programme. I'm Jane Dutton. In a long-awaited move, Turkey's Prime Minister has announced a package of wide-ranging reforms. Recep Tayyip Erdogan is reaching out to the country's many minorities with changes to laws relating to politics, society and culture. The percentage of the national vote needed by a political party to enter parliament will be reduced. This will increase the number of seats for smaller pro-Kurdish parties. Erdogan announced that some schools will be able to teach in languages other than Turkish. This has been a long-running demand by Kurdish politicians and activists. Among the other changes, a ban on wearing religious headscarves in government buildings will be abolished, and an institute will be set up focusing on the language and culture of Turkey's Roma citizens. Erdogan explained why he's pushing for such changes.
We will announce and declare today a set of procedures. These procedures will never be the last and will be followed by other procedures in order to increase freedom and democracy in Turkey. And we need also to boost and support the steps taken by Ataturk in order for Turkey to be a modern and developed country.
Let's go straight to our guests now. In London, Akif Wan, he's the representative of the Kurdistan National Congress in Britain. In Ankara, we have two guests. Taha Ozhan, director of SETA, that's the Foundation for Political, Economic and Social Research, and Huseyin Bagci, political analyst and professor of international relations at the Middle East Technical University in Ankara. Taha Ozhan, you in the capital, how did this package go down there? Was it well received?
Yeah, it's very well received. It was awaited for a long time. But first of all, we should understand why are we having democratization of Turkey with mini packages rather than having once and at all. There is a reason for that, and Prime Minister explained that thing a couple of times. And he said also today, we would like to have all these kinds of democratization at the very beginning of our governments in 2002. And we believed then and we believe now. The reason we delayed, we postponed many things is that there is a status quo in Turkey and opposing parties are really opposed harshly for years, and they made society also do not digest any kind of democratization, especially related to Kurdish rights. So we have this mini packages.
So he's blaming the opposition parties, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, he blames both opposition party and the status quo. By status quo, he means maybe what last 80 years long habits, understanding of this kind of issues. So there is a status quo in Turkey, and today he directly addressed 1960 coup d'etat and the tutelage regime at that time established in Turkey. And he says the main source of our difficulties comes even from 50 years ago, and he's quite right on that.
Akif Wan, the Kurds are one of the main beneficiaries in this package. What do you make of it?
First of all, at last we know what is inside of the package. That is the positive side. But we are disappointed. The reason is, first of all, Kurdish side has not been involved in preparation of this package. For example, BDP was not been involved, or Kurdish people not been consulted. And also Mr.
Why do you think they weren't
Imrali
spoken to about this?
As far as I'm concerned, BDP has not been asked, or they had, in other words, they suggested different things, but it is, when you look in this package, is empty somehow. For example, in terms of language point of view, Kurdish language is going to be studied private schools, which cannot be understood or cannot be accepted. 25 million Kurds live in Turkey as a whole. You cannot suggest to learn your own mother tongue in private schools. That cannot be understood or accepted.
So you want all schools to be able to offer this for everybody, regardless of your economic status, to have access?
Of course, economic status is different things, but we need to be democratic manner, also equality point of view. 21st century, we living in other countries who have minorities, or also the people who live there, they are able to learn their own languages. For example, French, German, or Italian, whatever language we are talking about. Now 25 million Kurds live in Turkey. What we are suggesting, Kurdish people should be able to study their languages from primary school to university level, or also be able to speak wherever they are into.
I mean, it's quite extraordinary, isn't it, considering what a large minority the Kurds are, that they haven't even been allowed to learn their own language.
First of all, the disappointment of the Kurds I can understand, but it is very difficult to understand the speaker who said that in Turkey there are 25 million Kurds. I don't know from where he has taken the numbers, but in Turkey it will be not possible in the foreseeable future that the official language of the country will be double, Turkish and Kurdish. The Turkish language will stay as the language of the Republic of Turkey, and the Kurds put their expectations very highly. My suggestion would be they should reduce their expectations. Even this package has been revolutionary in itself. When we look all the debates in the last 10-15 years, Turkey is moving from nation-state concept more and more to a la carte neo-Ottoman state, if you want, because this concept of nation-state, including the removal of national anthem from the schools, is revolutionary in itself. So the Kurds should be very happy with this. I cannot see why they are unhappy if they consider that there are certain steps to be taken in the future. On the other hand, this package is not bringing many new, I would say, reforms. There are all those de facto in Turkey happening things like the headscarf. Headscarf has been already used in several public spheres, and what happened today is just the official justification or official confirmation by the government. And many people, including myself, have been criticizing Turkish Prime Minister that he is using the headscarf as a political tool in his political ambitions. From now on, he cannot use this anymore. And I think this headscarf issue was already out of the question in the public debate. And I must say, however, that the Turkish Prime Minister made a concession to military and to judiciary, because he says those who are in the military and at the highest level, the judiciary system, they are not forced to have, or they are not asked to have headscarves. But this headscarf,
all right. Let me just bring in Taha. You raised a few points there around the headscarf. What do you make of that, Taha? What do you make of those comments?
I mean, headscarf is a long-time issue, which secular state, imposed its own nation. Turkey is a nation where estimated more than 60 to 70% of women using headscarf. And this has been banned not only in government buildings and government institutions, also in the private sector, use this government act as an excuse and heavily and intensively banned any kind of headscarf woman to get into any kind of business job, especially jobs at the higher level. So this is a long time issue, and eventually today there will be some legal basis to use headscarf in government institutions, and it will also change atmosphere in the private sector too. I mean, the democratization process in Turkey, if every single group just asks for its own democratization, unfortunately we never arrived anywhere, and now on we will never again. So the best way is, providing all kinds of democratic rights, which somehow provides different and variety of rights to different segments of society. And today we saw a package of that.
Surely providing democratic rights to all is the aim of any country?
Definitely, and look, these are what basic human rights. The question should be why still we are suffering from these basic human rights issues. And the main reason is there was a tutelage regime for years. I mean, it was only by 2010 constitutional amendment, which passed by 58% through the support of the people. We had some room to touch these kind of issues. Kurdish language learning has already started, and this headscarf issue already started. Non-Muslim rights in Turkey, little bit touched, but there are ways, there are plenty of issues to go. And today, Prime Minister of this country confirmed that, and he said this is not going to be less packages.
Okay, now this outreach to the Kurds has a lot to do with the PKK, that's the Kurdistan National Party, and the tens of thousands killed in the decades-long conflict. The party was formed in the late 1970s. In 1984, it launched an armed attack against the Turkish government, demanding an independent state within the country. In this time, 40,000 people have been killed. In the 1990s, the PKK revised its demands, calling instead for more autonomy for the Kurds. In 1999, its leader, ABDULLAH OCALAN, was jailed for treason, a huge blow to the PKK. But earlier this year, after discussions with the government, OCALAN called a ceasefire and told PKK forces to withdraw from Turkey. Now, Akif, I believe you've just come back from Turkey. What are the expectations there for the peace process?
Actually, I still cannot go to Turkey, I'm afraid. I came back from South Kurdistan, Kurdish regional government area, from Erbil or Süleymaniye.
Okay.
Yes. Secondly, in terms of PKK, when they have demands, independent democratic Kurdistan or united Kurdistan at the time, as you know, since '93, first ceasefire, then continued until this year, 21st of March this year. As you know, everyone knows that 21st of March in Ahmet, Diyarbakir, Mr. Öcalan's message has been read out, which was very positive. We were happy, and we are still happy with the message there, which means ceasefire started and withdrawal started. And also, as you know, still there are negotiations going on between Mr. Öcalan and Turkish government or state. What we were expecting in June this year, second step, which has been taken by Turkish government, for example, as they say, KCK trials, MPs, mayors, councillors and politicians are in prison, thousands of them, more than a few years. We were expecting in that package, it will cover KCK trial as well. They should be, because they are political prisoners, they should have been released. But I'm afraid when you look in the package, it doesn't cover that at all, I'm afraid.
Huseyin, it's interesting that Erdogan's success here depends a lot on ABDULLAH Öcalan. I mean, he was once one of Turkey's most feared men.
I think the Turkish Prime Minister is making a very pragmatic and Machiavellist policy. Is trying to give piece by piece concessions to several groups in the society, and so that he is trying to keep going on his political, of course, rule. Let me put it like this. One, concerning the Taha's statement. Turkey is a secular country and will remain a secular country. Tayyip Erdogan's package today proved this, that he is not going to have a similar position like Mursi tried to do in Egypt. So still he has certain fears, reactions of the society. I think Turkey is still having the democratic rights, and these democratic rights can be extended but cannot be taken out, first of all. And I think the package is indeed providing also certain hopes for certain groups. Like the European Union is very happy with this package. The United States of America is very happy. In Turkey, part of the society is happy, but there are other concerns, like the Kurdish gentleman was telling that he is expecting that all the political prisoners should be released. You cannot do this with a democratization package. You cannot do this overnight, because there is more debate, more discussion, and Öcalan knows this. Öcalan and Tayyip Erdogan are at the moment the two strong political leaders, one from the government side and the other one from PKK side. They negotiate, they talk. I think Prime Minister's statement that it is not the last package is an indication that in the coming weeks and months, probably the government is going to declare certain packages more in order to satisfy certain groups like the Kurds, but at the same time, continue the peace process. I do not expect that the PKK can now start the military uprising because of the package was not providing what PKK has been expecting. So I think it is going not so fast, but it is going certainly. When we see the debates in the last 5 years and 10 years and look today where we have arrived, and I mean it is indeed a success in the sense of the changing the Turkish society, or the Turkish society's changing expectations are met by the government at a certain level.
All right,
but
let me bring, sorry, can I just bring
more political opposition?
Okay, Taha, how detrimental or how problematic could the reported splits in the PKK be, and the developments happening to the Kurds in Syria, to the peace process?
I mean, it's important, but first of all, we should understand what's happening regarding the resolution process, or what's widely called peace process. I mean, the first attempt, the first time in the by the government happened in 2009. Not only by this government, but any government that armed struggle started in early 1980s. It was first time Tayyip Erdogan as a prime minister attempted officially to intervene this issue rather than with armed means. And in 2009 they called it Kurdish opening process. Unfortunately it's failed due to PKK provocations. PKK restarted its attacks on army posts and killed hundreds of them, and army responded, and the process was dead. The second process started in 2013, January. Erdogan declared that new process will take place, and on March 21st, Öcalan declared a message. Message was quite simple. It had two dynamics. The first dynamic was related to methodology. Öcalan said, now on, armed struggle is finished, and there is no place in the new atmosphere of Turkey and Middle East for armed struggle, and this world should be end. Then second thing was about the political philosophy of PKK. He said we should be rethinking what we believe in regarding democratization, and he gave some historical references. He talked about Islamic unity. He criticized secular elites are the problem between Kurds and Turks, and many other things. So at the philosophical level and methodological level, Öcalan came up with a new message, and that message, out of that message there was a roadmap. It was 3 stages. First stage was without any condition, without any precondition. PKK was supposed to be withdraw from Turkey, and it should have been done by June, and we are in almost October.
Okay, let me bring Akif in, if you don't mind, because I still want to get to behind what motivated Erdogan to announce this package as far as the Kurds are concerned. How much do you think this has got to do with what's happening with Turkey's position in the region, and in particular with its relationship with Iraq, which has soured so badly?
Yes. As long as I'm concerned, as we said, 21st of March, when the message being read in Diyarbakir, we knew that hopefully this time, without violence, Kurdish question is going to be peaceful and democratic manner being solved in Turkey. But when you look since 21st of March, the PKK has had ceasefire and withdrawing. Also during the time when the second step comes over the position, Turkish government should have taken some steps which they have not done. That's why, the way we understand, that's why PKK stopped withdrawing. Now we are waiting. We were waiting. This package is going to cover those steps, But again, some positive steps, for example, Q, X, Y, which did not exist in Turkish alphabet. I mean, Q and W and X did not exist in Turkish alphabet. Now it is going to be allowed. I remember very well one family, their child was Velat, W-A Velat, written with W, has been deported from Istanbul to Düsseldorf. Now,
okay,
there are
all right.
positive
Sorry,
steps,
so I'm just going to jump in here because I do want to push it on with you, Huseyin, possibly to the reasons behind the package, the timing now, and where Turkey is in the region at the moment and its status, its position, if you like.
I think Turkey has done many mistakes in the case of Syria and Libya, and foreign policy-wise, I mean, and then Turkey was nearly going to lose the control in Syrian north, where PAD is active. At the same time, as you mentioned in the previous question, with Iraq, Turkey has certain difficulties, and Tayyip Erdogan was changing its policy more towards the Kurdish government in the north of Iraq, and Turkey is the biggest supporter of Barzani and Talabani at the moment in economic terms. Timing is interesting. I think this timing of the package is, on the one hand, not, let's say, fulfilling the expectations of certain groups, but domestically speaking, Tayyip Erdogan is also playing with fire, because the more the Kurdish demands are coming up, the more the Turkish nationalists in the coming months and years will have a different, I would say, political position. Turkish nationalism will increase the more the Turkish eastern borders are going to have troubles. Tayyip Erdogan's timing is important for his government because he could not bear anymore all these critics concerning certain Islamic symbols. But Tayyip Erdogan is very pragmatic. He knows actually where to step back and where he can go forward. But I would say next year we are going to have presidential elections and before local elections, and with this package he hoped to create a much better atmosphere, to gain also certain Kurdish, I would say, support in eastern and southeastern Anatolia.
Okay.
And I think PKK is...
Let me put that to Taha. Do you think this will reverse or negate some of the problems that he's been facing in the last year? How he's got increasingly isolated regionally, and the disappointment expressed by the EU and the US in the way he dealt with the protests earlier this year in Ghazi Park?
No, I don't think so, and I don't agree with this will also fire up Turkish nationalism, and it's a frightening thing and threatening thing to Tayyip Erdogan. No, if it was, it would have happened in 2007, 2009, 2010, and 2011. In all these elections, before election, Tayyip Erdogan somehow touched this Kurdish issue, and they were even threatening countries going to be divided from nationalist circle, but it didn't happen. Plus, Tayyip Erdogan still, his party is getting the most votes from the Kurds and the most votes from
I'm trying to talk regionally
Turks.
Now and the impact of earlier...
And regionally, I'll come to that. I mean, this is quite important. I mean, #1 Kurdish votes, the largest Kurdish votes goes to Tayyip Erdogan right now, and largest Turks voting for Tayyip Erdogan too. Regionally, no. I mean, regionally, PYD question is more complex than it's presented here. Right now, KDP from Iraq having plenty of problems with PYD, and PYD, do not forget, it's just one single group among Kurds. And it's geographically isolated. Most of the Kurds are living in Damascus and Aleppo. And also between Kurds there are huge problems. The reason why we hear PYD too much, because Kurdish diaspora in Europe, especially PKK, giving a voice to them, and they have arms. But unfortunately in Syria, they are also labeled Kurds, are backstabbing the uprising against the Assad regime, and this is not a image Kurds really deserve, because they are the most oppressed ones within the Syria. They didn't even have their national IDs in Syria, but unfortunately from the beginning of uprising in Syria, PYD somehow created an image that Kurds are not with the uprising. This is not a true image. PYD is just one group which is formed after 2011. There are traditional groups in Syria, and they are with the uprising.
All right, we're going to have to leave it there. Thank you so much to all of my guests, Akif Wan, Taha Ozhan, and Huseyin Bagci. It was very good getting your thoughts on this so-called reforms package. And if you want to send us your feedback on this Inside Story, please do so. Just email your thoughts to us at insidestory@aljazeera.net. Thanks for watching. From me, Jane Dutton, and the team, goodbye.